All right, everyone. Columbia University is issuing an ultimatum to student protesters there that have built a fairly substantial encampment of tents and so forth, and they've declared their solidarity with Palestine. It's the Free Palestine encampment, actually. It's a little bit like CHAZ 2.0 when you think about it. It doesn't really change anyone's minds. Now, in some of these cases, these encampments, these protests, they're just literally protests. So, I mean, you've got your tent set up in an area where you're not blocking people from movements. You're not keeping them from going to class. You're not, scattering trash everywhere. And it's not like CHAZ in the sense that they started taking random junk and blockading the streets and things like that. So it is a little bit apples to oranges. But in some cases, these displays are causing more problems, like New York University the other day with the rioting that happened there with over 100 people detained. It's funny to see AOC come out and weigh in on this, by the way. She's like, well, if the police do anything here, it would be a real shame. It would be a complete abuse of power, and you should stay out of it. The university is trying to negotiate with these students, and they've got various terms involved, like you've got to avoid harassment, discrimination. You've got to dismantle some of the tents, which I don't know why that makes sense. My thought is this. Insofar as it remains a peaceful protest, and it's not impeding anyone, and there aren't instances of violence or threats or something like that, they're paying to go to the university, let them sit in a tent if they want to. That's my personal thought on it. You don't have to agree with their message, but you do have to believe they have the right to make that message. If they're already paying to be there, so they're paying for their dorm room and their food and all of these other things, I really don't see the problem. If students, for a non-protest purpose, for instance, I'm thinking about my days at UVM. If some students had said, you know what, it's going to be fun. We're going to spend a week pretending that we're camping, and we're going to go out to the university green. They set up a little ring of tents and sing Kumbaya. None of the campus authorities would have a problem with that. They'd say, oh, hi kids, and then they'll go to class. It's not impeding anyone. It's just kids, being kids. At this point, I'm 36. I'm allowed to call college-age people kids. I've gained that privilege at this time. Maybe I have to wait till I'm 40, but I'm claiming that title anyway. Columbia University only really has one proposal there that fully makes sense. And that's the don't be a dick to other people and impede them thing. If the students really want to camp out there and speak their minds and express themselves, and they're not attacking anyone or something like that, well, it's a free speech issue now, isn't it? They're paying a fuck ton of money to go there. Yes, I know. Sometimes at universities like that, you've got the rich bitch kids, which probably overlap seamlessly with this encampment, by the way, considering their obvious political and social proclivities. And so they get like scholarships and stuff like that, or, they get it paid for by, their rich uncle or something like that. I understand that. It doesn't mean they don't have the right to express themselves. I really don't see the issue with what's going on there. Now, in some of these cases, you don't really have protests going on. You have an intimidation campaign. And there are sporadic incidents of that sort of thing at all of these venues. About the only other thing the university is demanding is, hey, the only people that can be there are people that are actually going to the university. Okay, that makes sense. That part makes sense too, I suppose, because otherwise somebody is squatting on campus property and they're not paying their tuition. All right, that could be a little bit of a problem. We'll see where the negotiations go. But then the university came out and said, we're going to have to come to terms and come to a conclusion here, because otherwise you get like 48 hours, otherwise we're going to look at other measures. And there is a riot control from the local police are on standby at this time, so it could get dicey. And but some people are flipping out about this. Think about it this way. When you're in college, you probably lean further left than when you're like, core Stick, Sex, and Hammer audience is people between 25 and 45. So the mean, median, and mode is roughly my age. We've been out of college for a long time now, haven't we? When I was a college kid, I fucking voted for Obama and smoked weed and leaned more towards Palestine at the time, actually. I've become ambivalent and said, I really don't care what happens between Israel and Palestine. Not my problem. I think that killing people is wrong. Ta-da, that's basically my opinion. but there's going to be a tendency for that to be more profuse on a college campus or a university campus than when people are older. And so, I don't know, let the kids be kids, basically. If you think that their ideas are completely bullshit, they're completely batshit, so be it. You have the right to speak out too. You can always go there and wave an Israeli flag. I suppose I could go there and wave an America-only flag and say, look, why do you even fucking care about what's going on? There's plenty of condemnable behavior on both sides in that particular kerfuffle now, isn't there? I think paragliding over the border and taking hundreds of hostages is also pretty bad. But, it's, and part of it, here's the cringe part. A lot of these groups are focusing on their supposedly anti-colonial sort of thing. So they say, well, colonialism is evil, therefore Israel has colonized this region, and that's evil. They're pushing the Palestinians out. It's sort of a precursor to them claiming that many Western nations shouldn't fundamentally exist in their current form either. Like the United States, built by white people, so we need socialism, basically. We need the system that the Indians would have imposed, or something along those lines. It's a very confusing mentality. It doesn't always make a whole lot of sense when you really think about it. I noticed that they never had a problem with the colonialism shown by the Zulus who invaded Boer and other native lands in South Africa that hadn't been actually colonized at all. If you've got a piece of land that literally nobody is living in, it's kind of hard to be a colonialist. You can make a colony, but you're not displacing anyone. I would note that the Boers were helping with the native people, the actual native tribes, to try to defend against the Zulus. The British were the actual colonists from Europe at the time, and they attempted to help out too before subsuming the entire area. A little history for the leftoids. Did you know that the area that was inhabited by the Boers, the white South African population, Dutch diaspora, did you know that wasn't really inhabited before, and they got along perfectly fine with all of the native tribes before the Zulus invaded? You probably never heard about that one in history class, in your anti-colonialism curriculum. That's about all. Peace out.